Welcome to the Bourbon Jerk. Thanks for the click. So let's get to it. This year there's been so many amazing bourbons released. And as you might imagine, a lot of them have been allocated and or difficult to find. And I'm going to level with you. I don't have a lot of time to spend hunting at the local stores, so I don't usually get the unicorn bottles. But this year there's been a handful of bottles that I really wanted to get my hands on, but for one reason or another, I just couldn't. However, thanks to some super generous folks in the whiskey community, I do have samples of 5 of the biggest releases of this year. I'm going to sip through them, and I'm going to let you know if I think that these are truly Bourbon of the Year contenders or just pretenders. Before we get to it, do me a favor. Like, comment, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Definitely helps the algorithm so more people see these videos and we continue to grow the channel. Also, make sure that you check out the Bourbon Jerk on Patreon. I've got a link in the description below. So to start off my list here, I've got the Russell's Reserve 15 year. And it seems like this one is the favorite to be at or near of a ton of Bourbon of the Year lists. If I'm being honest, this is the one bottle that I really wanted to score this year. Last year I got my first Russell's Reserve 13, and I think it was runner-up in my Bourbon of the Year blind. Absolutely love it. So, one of my local shops did actually offer to sell me a bottle of the 15 for 500 big ones. So needless to say, walked out empty-handed. This one comes in at 117.2 proof and retails for about $250. Let's get into it. Little funk. Little of that cherry that I usually get with Wild Turkey products. Some nutmeg. Maybe some floral notes. There's a lot going on here. Let's give her a sip. Wow, that's delicious. Yeah, that kind of dusty cherry note kind of carries through for me. Floral notes in there for sure. And then they kind of give way kind of at the back of the palate to your caramels and your vanillas. Nice big finish. This one is fantastic. I have absolutely no reservations about saying that this one is a contender. Next up is the Jack Daniel's 12 year. Now this was one of my top 5 bourbons of 2023. I think that the hype on this one has died down a bit compared to where it was last year, as quite a few folks out there seem to favor the Jack Daniel's 10 year this year over the 12 year. This one comes in again at 107 proof, just like it did last year. Retails for about $100 in my state, even though I know I paid quite a bit more than that last year. Let's give it a rip. Does seem almost about as dark as the Russell's 15. Definitely hit with the Jack Daniel's banana bread note. Maybe a little barrel char, a little funk. I just remember last year's right off the rip was insane. Not quite getting there with this one yet. Let's give her a sip. Vanilla, caramel, barrel char. And then at the end, there's some bitterness that I can't quite put my finger on. Something odd. Then the finish seems to fall flat. This is decent, but there's no question that this does not hit like last year's did. As far as Bourbon of the Year goes, this one, pretender. Before we get to the rest of the video, today's video is sponsored by our good friends over at Into the AM. Right now they've got their Black Friday sale going on, and that's going on right now through December 8th, up to 60% off of everything site-wide. This is their biggest sale of the year. This is the one you don't want to miss. They just came out with their new fall collection last month. One of the highlights is this Endeavor quarter zip. It's kind of between a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. It's like that perfect weight for when things cool off. And then, this is waffle knit pullover hoodie. Friggin' love this, super soft and comfortable. Wear this all day today at the office. This is just perfect for putting over your hoodies or your sweaters when it's not so cold that you want that thick winter coat, but it's cold enough that you want to have something to keep you warm. Finally, don't forget to use code word jerky at checkout. Save yourself another 10% on top of that. Back to the video. Next up is the Murray Hill Club Special Release Batch 4. It came out earlier this year. It's a blend of 8 and 17-year-old bourbons, which were then finished in Calvados casks. Calvados is a French brandy made from apple cider and then aged in oak barrels. I know that that's true because I Googled it. I believe this was around locally because I heard about it on the Bourbon Brothers podcast, and they're just in the next town over. Shout out to Bush and Lance. I just haven't seen it. So, I was super excited to see it included in a box of random samples that were sent to me recently by a very generous subscriber. This one is 111 proof, retails about $200, Same as the Joseph A. Magnus cigar blends. But is this Calvados finished bourbon any good? Let's give it a rip. Ooh, okay, so this is fruity. Melted caramel. A lot of dark fruit notes, maybe baking spices in there. That's nice. So the Calvados to me kind of translates more into honey or pear. But this works. This is a very well put together blend. It makes me want another sip. Got a nice viscous mouthfeel. It's kind of coating my whole tongue. This one has a nice lingering fruity finish. As far as telling you if it's a contender or a pretender, ultimately that's going to fall on you. If you like finished bourbons, I do, this is a contender. If you don't like finished bourbons, it probably isn't going to change your mind, but I'll tell you that you ought to give it a shot. So I'll call it a contender. Next one is Limestone Farms Morgan Family Collection Private Stock, a complete unknown until just recently when I received some samples of the offerings in the Limestone Farms lineup, courtesy of their brand ambassador, Tom Morrow, who I had the pleasure of meeting about a month ago. Stats on this one, 8-year age statement. Proof comes in at 113.6 and it's got a really unique mash bill of 70% corn, 10% honeyed wheat, 10% honeyed malted barley, and 10% distiller's malt. It retails for $189. They sell it directly from their website. They just don't ship to Michigan yet. But is it any good? Let's give it a rip. Ooh, that is like kind of like a graham cracker or like a cinnamon graham cracker with vanilla frosting spread on it. Onto the palate. Now that is wild. This one just immediately coats my entire mouth and tongue, envelops it in that like honey and vanilla. It almost reminds me of like a mead. It's that thick. Yeah, this one just feels different. The finish is medium long, but that nice lingering like honey vanilla note just kind of sitting on the mid palate. Wow, this is something. This is easy for me to recommend as a contender. If you haven't heard of this brand, definitely check it out. Don't sleep on them. Last on the list, Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon 2024. Now, I just got a bit familiar with Garrison Brothers, and to be quite honest, they're not one of my favorite Texas whiskey brands. But this one seemed to get a lot of love last year, and even more this year. I even got this comment from my buddy Stu. My Texas buddies swear by it, so I'm interested. It carries an 8-year age statement, and I'm doing this one last because it's hazmat. It's 140.2 proof. MSRP on this one here in Michigan is $269. I actually saw it at a local Total Wine here for $339, but I wasn't willing to pay it. Did I miss out? Let's find out. All right, so the color on this one, I can immediately tell that it is dark as night. This reminds me of last year's 13th Colony Double Oak. On the nose. Ooh, get notes of like cola, maybe root beer, orange. A lot going on here, a lot to unpack. This is unique. On the palate. Ooh, it kicks. Cola, sarsaparilla, expressed orange peel, like you burnt the orange peel and the juices dripped into the glass. Yeah, this is crazy. There's nothing else like this year. It has unique notes that you can pull a lot out of here. I'm not the best at describing all of these different nuances, but I can tell you that there's a lot to unpack in this glass. Is it worth that price tag? I don't know, but this is really substantial. I have no problem saying that this one is a contender. So there you have it, 5 of the bourbons that I coveted most this year. Did I miss out on a few of them? Yeah, I feel like I did. And the Jack Daniels though, I think I'm okay. What are some bourbons that I missed that are on your list for bourbon of the year? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, cheers. Thanks for watching. Stay jerky.